So next up we have a presentation by a company you may know called Facebook, and it's about video storytelling. So please welcome Rahul Gupta from Facebook that will be delivering this keynote. Thank you very much.
Southeast Asia, and I'm part of the Facebook's Global Marketing Solutions team. Over the next 15 minutes, I'll talk to you about the power of video storytelling in a mobile-first world and the benefits of that, of unlocking the potential of that for your respective businesses and your brands, and how can you use the power of video storytelling to connect better with consumers, increase the relevance, and if you increase the relevance, of course, you can drive better business impact. So I'll do this in 3 parts. Part 1, why is it important for all of us in this room to understand the potential of video on the mobile? What's the opportunity before us, and why is it such an imperative for us to get it right? Part 2 is the challenges, because along with every opportunity come challenges. So I'll speak about that. And then part 3 would be how do we deal with it, what are the solutions we have in place, and what at Facebook, what are the tips and tricks we've learned to really unlock video storytelling in a mobile-first world. So I'm sure like me, many of you in this room, when it comes to storytelling, this is what you think of. You think of a duration, 30 seconds, and you think of how do I tell a beautiful story arc over the course of that 30 seconds, right? Where you start with a setup, you then reveal the demo or the benefit or the cultural tension or the consumer insight, and then you wrap up your storytelling by talking about the product or the tagline. This is for decades and decades, ever since the advent of TV, 6 or 7 decades ago, this is the way we've looked at telling stories. My submission to you today is that we need to start expanding the definition of the way we tell stories. Because if we confine ourselves to this box of storytelling being about 30 seconds and the conventional arc of storytellings, we will fail to unlock the potential of video storytelling in a mobile-first world. So what I will take you through over the next 15 minutes is how I see the expansion of what storytelling stands for and how do we really unlock the potential of that. So just some quick stats and figures to really reinforce the point about why understanding video storytelling in a mobile-first world is important. So emerging markets, whether it's us, all of us in ASEAN, whether it's Latin America, whether it's sub-Saharan Africa, everywhere in the world, consumers are watching more and more video on their mobile devices, right? And what they tell us in a lot of research that despite all the infrastructure challenges, low bandwidth, high cost of data, patchy coverage, people say that they will continue to watch more and more video on their smartphones in the coming years. And they're finding clever solutions around that. So there's a great quote from this lady in the Philippines. I was in Yangon a couple of weeks ago, and every time I'm there, I take the opportunity on my ride from the airport to the hotel to talk to the taxi driver in whatever little English we can converse in. And I always ask them, what are they doing on their mobile phones? How are they watching videos? On my last trip, this particular taxi driver told me something quite interesting. He says, I'm on a prepaid plan. Data is expensive, so what I do is while I'm driving or while I'm sort of taking a rest, I go through my Facebook feed, I see the videos that I'm interested in, and then he actually does a screen grab of them. So that in the evening, when he goes back home and he's got Wi-Fi, then he can actually refer back to those screen grabs and actually go and watch those videos because he doesn't want to use his limited data plan on watching video. So people are finding newer, interesting ways to continue watching videos, but in ways that suit their particular market reality. The other thing we know from research is that in the coming few years, many people in emerging markets continue to anticipate watching more and more video on their mobile devices because it can be watched anywhere, it can be watched anytime, and it feels a lot more personal. So in many ways, this device is now become like our personal TV in all our pockets. So people love that about the mobile device, and they will continue to watch more and more of it. But along with the positive story comes some challenges. The challenges are mobile behavior is fundamentally different to the linear TV behavior that we've all gotten used to. And it's extremely critical for us to understand this mobile behavior if we want to unlock the power of video storytelling. So the first thing that makes mobile behavior very different is that it's fast. All of us scroll through our mobile phone feeds about 41% faster than we do on our desktop. 41% faster. And there's a good reason for it. When we are typically looking at content on our mobile feed, right? We are reading news, we're looking at video, whatever be the case. The typical viewing distance is this. Fair enough? That's the distance at which we watch our mobile devices. What that means is that our field of vision is quite narrow. So when we are on our mobile device, we tend to sort of blank out everything around us. Our entire focus and concentration is on the mobile device. My wife regularly accuses me that when I'm on the mobile, I seem to not listen to what she's saying. And she says that she would have told me the plan for the day and I would have ignored it because I'm so engrossed in my mobile. I don't know how many of you experience the same thing, but I certainly get accused of it very often. What that also means is that with greater processing power, literally, of our brain dedicated to watching content on the mobile, we're able to process content a lot faster. And we're able to make decisions about what's relevant, what's not relevant, a lot faster. So we recall content faster, we recall the brand name, the message a lot faster than we would do on many other platforms. The second reality we're having to deal with is it's frequent. So most people pull their phone out about 70 to 80 times a day. 70 to 80 times a day. Now, if that figure seems high to you, just think of it. Let's break it down. 12 to 14 hours a day is when your mobile is on. For most people, many people actually don't even switch off their phone. I do still at night, but most people don't. So even if you're actively using your mobile phone for 12 to 14 hours a day, and you just whip it out 4 times an hour, which is conservative, that's 70, 80 times in a day. Within that, what we know is people check their feeds, whether it's an Instagram feed, Facebook feed, about 16 to 18 times during the course of the day. What that means is prime time is any time. You no longer have to wait for the evening to tell your brand story. You no longer have to wait for somebody to get in front of the television set at 8 p.m. to talk about what you want to say. You have 18 moments during the day to build your brand story. But it's also a bit frightening because people are going through this content very fast. So you have to be very clear on what is it that you want to tell. So your storytelling in a mobile-first world has to be different from the way you've told stories in the past. And the third thing, and the third reality that we have to deal with, is that a lot of mobile consumption is in sound-off mode. So we have to start telling our stories in a way that they make sense in sound off. And when people do have sound turned on, that should be a bonus to them. In some of the newer formats, like stories, a large part of the consumption is with sound on. But in the feed, it's with sound off. So how do we then start telling visual stories which are processed a lot faster in a way that they don't need lots and lots of text? So that's on mobile behavior. The other reality we are having to deal with is that pure reach or reach alone does not guarantee attention. Because I can no longer interrupt a consumer's favorite piece of programming and hope that they will take notice, because the consumer is in control. So we have to constantly tell our stories in a way that we earn the consumer's attention. So reach does not necessarily always equal attention. And within that, what we're finding is that the same consumer, all of us in this room, the same consumer exhibits many different types of mobile consumption behavior during the day. So most of the time, we exhibit behavior which we call on the go. So some of you who might be getting bored of my presentation might be whipping out their phone. I can see a few people in the audience now who are on their phone. They're quickly going through content. They're quickly going through their feed. This is called on-the-go behavior. You're waiting to get your cup of coffee. That's on-the-go behavior. It's quick, it's short, it's snappy. Other times of the day, fewer instances, it's lean in. I see something, it catches my attention, I want to know more. So the taxi driver in Yangon, he was sort of exhibiting the lean-in behavior. He sees a piece of video content, doesn't want to play it to use up his data plan, but saves it and then watches it later. And the third type of consumption behavior is lean back. So you've attended 2 days of InnoFest. You want to kick back, you want to take it easy, you want to entertain yourself, you go back home in the evening and you pull out your mobile phone and you lean back and you're willing to consume content that will entertain you, whether it's a Netflix, whether it's something else on any other platform. So those are the 3 types of consumption behaviors on the mobiles we are having to deal with. And we have to tell our stories in a way that we can cater to all these 3 types of consumption behaviors. Now, within that context, the way people view ads is also quite interesting. So all our research is telling us is that besides looking at the numbers of how much people are watching, how much is the completion rate, we also have to start looking at, are my ads reaching enough number of people? Because there's no point in talking to 100 people or 1,000 people. If you don't talk to people at scale, you won't be able to grow your business. So you have to reach enough number of people. The other critical criteria of success for any piece of video ad is what is the kind of attention people are paying to the ad. Because I've reached enough people, but I have to earn their attention. So attention quality is important. And the third thing, in a world where consumers are in control, our thumb rather is in control, is about the annoyance factor. Am I annoying my consumer, or are they engaging with my piece of advertising? So when we look at stories, and on the y-axis I have video sessions, so how many people start watching a particular video, and on the x-axis I have the watch time. So on the stories format, what we find is this is the way consumption goes. Very, very high reach. There are about 300 million stories being generated every single day. So incredibly high reach, very high levels of attention. Excuse me. So consumers are able to process a lot of information very, very quickly because it's a full screen format. You're paying attention to the story. You're skipping front and back. So you're paying a great deal of attention on a full screen format. Very high attention and low annoyance factor. The reason why it's low is because you know that all you need to do is you need to tap on the right side and the screen will move forward. So you as a consumer are in control. So very high reach, very high attention quality, and low annoyance factor. The behavior on the feed is somewhat similar. People see stuff. In about 1.7 seconds, they process information, they remember what brand it was for, what was the key message being delivered, and then they decide whether they want to watch the rest of their video or they want to skip onwards. Very high reach, great scale, very high attention quality because your field of vision is narrow, you're only focused on the mobile phone, so you pick up a lot of information a lot faster, and low annoyance factor because you can scroll past if you don't like what you see. When it comes to skippable advertising, it's interesting how it goes. This is the behavior we typically see. So for the first few seconds, you don't have a choice. You have to hang on, right? You have to watch it. And then the moment it says you can now 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you can skip, you tend to hit that button and it drops like that. So as a result, what happens is the average reach of that is medium because it starts high, but then it drops quite dramatically and it drops quite fast. The attention quality is moderate. The reason it's moderate is think about your own behavior when you're watching any skippable format. As consumers, we've learned to tune out what's happening on the screen, and our attention is on the bottom right-hand corner. Is that, am I right to say that? How do you think of your own behavior when you're watching a skippable ad format? Where are you really focusing? You're looking down on the right corner and you're looking to skip the button. So your attention is moderate, right? And your annoyance factor is also moderate because it's like a tax you're paying before you get to the content that you really want to watch. The non-skippable format comes closest to television advertising. This is where we have moderate reach, we have high attention quality, and the annoyance factor is also high depending on the length of the advertising. So unlocking video storytelling in a mobile-first world means we have to tell stories, and we have to tell our stories in a compelling fashion. We have to get the creative right and design our creative for the mobile environment. Our targeting has to be accurate. We have to worry about and really think through what the placement is, what the format is, and what the frequency is. And if we get all these 5 factors right, I believe we can start unlocking the true potential of mobile storytelling, and then we can start driving brand outcomes from that. Thank you very much.